Did you know that you can run Gmail as a desktop app? Well, sort of. Let me show you what I'm talking about. In this case, I have Edge opened and I have signed into my Gmail account. Now I'm going to go to the three-dot menu in the Edge browser, select it, and then scroll down to where it says Apps. And you'll see here it is an option to install this site as an app. And when you select it, it's going to install Gmail as a progressive web app. Select Install. Now it gives you several options. You can pin it to the taskbar. You can pin it to the start. You can also create a desktop shortcut. And if you'd like, you can have this auto start when the system starts. I won't be checking this off because I'll only start it when I want to start it. Once you've made your selections, select Allow, and that's it. You have now created a progressive web app for Gmail. Let me close the actual Gmail. I don't need the browser anymore, so I'll be closing it. And you'll see that there is now an icon. It's in the overflow area because all of the space on my taskbar has been taken up. But there's now an icon for Gmail. When I select it, it opens up Gmail on the desktop. So I have an app that runs on a desktop. Other way that I can access this, if not through the taskbar, you'll notice on my desktop there's also now an icon for Gmail. I can simply select it and it will open up Gmail as a progressive web app on my desktop. So if you don't want to open up your browser each time that you want to get to your Gmail, set this up and from now on access it either through the taskbar or through the shortcut on your desktop. Stay safe, stay secure. I hope that helps and makes life getting to your Gmails a bit easier. Bye-bye and thanks for watching.
Hi, I'm Chris Guld with Geeks on Tour, and this is Fun with Photos. Hi, I'm Chris Guld.
And I'm Jim, and we're Geeks on Tour.
And learn Google Photos. And in this video, I want to give you a quick tour of all that's possible using Google Photos. We took a little trip to the Keys a couple weeks ago, and I took a bunch of pictures with my Samsung Android phone. Let's take a look. Just open Google Photos, and here are the photos. So we started driving down, and then we parked our little RV, and then we took a glass of wine out to watch the sunset.
Hey, I have some photos too.
Oh, that's right. But you know what? I don't even have to ask him to send them to me because I use a feature called Partner Shared Library in Google Photos. So let me show you how I would go get a photo from Jim's library. It's under the Sharing tab and Jim's photos. So at any time, either of us have the ability to go through a back door, if you will, and see each other's photos. So I can scroll through until I get to where the keys are. This one of our little RV, I think he has a better photo than I do. So I'm looking at his library, but if I tap the save up here, that picture is now in my library. And I'll go back then to my library. And what I'm going to do now is mark favorites. So we started driving. I'll say, yep, I need this one. My favorite photos are either my best ones or the ones that are important for telling the story. So this one helps tell the story. I just tap on the little star there. It becomes a favorite. I like this one showing our tiny RV. That's a favorite. And this one is a favorite. And this one is a favorite. Now, I love the picture of the wine glass in the sunset, but I have 3 of them, so let me see. I think I like that one the best. I'll favorite that one. And I certainly like that one. And then tons of pictures of this gorgeous sunset. I'm just going to pick a couple. I like that one. And that one is the best sunset picture, so I will favorite that. And then I'll end with looking in that direction. And there is the picture from Jim's library. I'm going to favorite that one. Now, to look at my pictures without all this clutter, I will just look at my favorites. That's under Library and Favorites. So now I am just seeing the pictures that I marked as favorite. Now I want to do some editing. So this picture of the road, I need to zoom in so that you can see that road sign. You tap the Edit button, crop, and now you can tell where we are. Done, and I'll always do an auto, that kind of brightens it up a little, and save. The next picture is this one, and on this one you can hardly see our little RV, but I don't want to zoom in on it. I want to point out what a tiny RV that is. So I'm going to add some text to this picture. You tap on the Edit, and then it's this little squiggle, which is the markup tool. First, I will draw. See, we have 3 tools down here: draw, highlight, and text. First, I'll draw a little arrow, and then I'll type some text. And then you tap Done, and now I can move that text down and size it. And adding text, I need to save a copy. This picture is a beautiful scene, but it's a little blah. So let's see if we can fix it up. Edit. First, I'm going to crop it. Then I want to add a little bit of color. So I tap on the tuning, and there is color. But that didn't do as much as I would like. If I scroll down on that, I have lots more choices. And if I just give that a little more warmth, there, that's the sunset that I remember. And if you long press on it, you can see what the original was, and there's what the new one looks like. And I save. This one is just a little bit dark. If I go into Edit, and I just make it lighter, that's good, but I don't want to lighten the sunset too much. So instead of making it lighter, I'm going to drill down, and I'm just going to say, get rid of some of the shadows. So you see how now I can see Jim more clearly, but the sunset is still properly exposed. And save. Now I want to make a collage. Let's just pick a couple. I definitely want that one in the collage. I select it. I want the wine glass and the RV and the road sign and the beautiful sunset. I tap plus and collage. Boom. I have a nice collage. I think I'll post that on Facebook. Now realize I was doing this while we were still there. So before we even turn in for the night, I have already selected my best pictures, made them look better, put them into a collage, and shared them on Facebook. Just one last thing to show you about how Google Photos works, and that is, because it's cloud-based, I can say, gee, I'd rather look at these pictures on a bigger screen like my iPad. And I can open Google Photos, and I can go to my favorites. That's under Library and Favorites. And here are those same pictures with the edits. And And that is a quick tour of all that you can do with Google Photos and how it's just fun. If you had tried to follow along with those editing samples, you might have noticed that your screen looks different. I'm going to show you how it works now, but the lesson to learn is things are changing all the time in Google Photos. They rarely take a feature away. They often add new features and move things around. So it's up to you to hunt a little. You'll find what you need. So here are those same pictures. It is August 2023, and this is my Samsung Android phone. Everything I'm going to show you works exactly the same on the iPhone, except one, and I'll let you know what that is when I get there. So here's the photo that just needed to be cropped. You still tap Edit, and you'll notice these multicolors. Those are for premium features. I'm not going to use any of those. You see crop right there. It is in a different place, but it still works the same. You just get into crop mode, drag the edges where you want them, and tap Save. You have your choice to save or save a copy. Next is the photo where I want to point to the tiny RV. This is the thing that is different on the Android. Only Android version of Google Photos has this. The way you get to other options is by dragging left and right on this menu. You'll see a menu item for markup. You won't find that on the iPhone. So I have a pen and I draw an arrow, and then I go to text and I type fun and done and done. And when you do that, you're forced to save a copy. It won't overwrite your original with those things. Next, edit, and the bottom menu, I want adjustments. When I'm on adjustments, I have all of these adjustments. And what I did to this one was just increased the warmth a bit and maybe some pop. Yeah, that's better. And done and save. Last was the one where Jim was in the shadows. Edit, and find adjustments, then find shadows, and increase the light in the shadows. Done and save. Lastly, they've added some wonderful new features to collages. So let me make a collage again. Select one picture, long press on it until it's selected. Another one, another one, another one, and one more. So I've selected 5 pictures. I tap the plus and ask for a collage. It starts off pretty much the same. It just makes it. But then watch this. I say I want the picture of our RV to be in the big spot in the middle here. You just touch and hold and drag it and they'll swap places. But I don't like the overall layout. How about this one? You can have different layouts. That one is a lot better, but the wine glass should be in the middle, so I can just drag it over. But let's look at some of these others. The ones with the multicolored, you have to be a Google One subscriber, be paying something to Google, but there are others that don't have that. There's one. And I like that one. So let's say that's the collage I want. I tap save. And now that is another picture in my Google Photos library. So that is a quick tour of Google Photos.
Talking to our children, our grandchildren, communicating. You know, being a senior is a great time in life. We have family, we have children, we have grandchildren. We get to communicate them, and in some cultures, seniors are even revered and often ask questions about life in general. The most important thing about a senior is being able to communicate and talk to your family. As a physician, I can tell you, when the communication stops, we have a thing called social isolation. And this was never more important and obvious when COVID hit. And we saw the terrible tragedy that seniors had when they stopped communicating, and this thing about social isolation became so important. So communication is extremely important as a senior. It's Ron Brown with Tech for Senior. Talking to your grandchildren, communicating. Have you ever wondered about the younger people and what they're doing on their cell phones when their little thumbs are going a mile a minute? They're always talking, they're always communicating. Why can't we be part of that? How do we fit into that communication skill set? And that is what we're going to talk about today. How seniors can learn how to communicate with their kids and grandchildren. Let's have a look at that. And if you like the video, please click that like and subscribe, and we'll notify you when new videos come out. On March 30th, 2020, Hugh and I founded Tech for Senior. And the concept we had was we wanted to do the show to help seniors with the social isolation that was going to come in the COVID period. The very first day, we had 100 people in the show, and it has never stopped. We only expected to do it for about 3 months. This is 4 years later and episode 176. I think everybody is having fun with Tech for Senior, and you're able to do it from your own house with the communication skills you all know how to use now. Remember when we started, Zoom was probably a new concept for a lot of you. Now you're pros and can go and teach everybody all about Zoom. You probably know more than most people. And that's really what Huey and I want you to do, is to go and spread the word, because social isolation is a huge problem. And it doesn't have to be with today's modern communication. Why do seniors have so much trouble communicating? And part of it is how we were trained in our upbringing. If you go back and look at a lot of us, we wrote letters and we put it in a mailbox and we put a stamp on it. Well, the only thing you get in the mail now is junk mail, bills, and letters from the tax department. In fact, they don't even teach cursive writing anymore in the schools. So we all moved on to telephone calls. Well, that's a great thing. We've all had telephones for a very long time, way before we had smartphones. You remember all those calls we used to phone, and we used to keep socially connected through the phone. So I don't know if you've experienced this and you've talked to your kids lately, but they say they'll call you and they never do. Maybe they get a call in a month. Sometimes that slips on to 2 or 3 months, and the calls don't come in very frequently. And heck, they're doing their little things out their thumbs all the time. Why can't I be part of that? And part of that is the technology that we're using. Now, a lot of us have moved on, and we have found computers, we've found internet. And what did we find? We found email. Oh boy, this is great. Now we can communicate. We can send email to everyone. I don't know if anyone sent any email to their cousins or to nieces or nephews, but you know what? It never gets answered, because email is primarily used in the business world, but young people don't use email. They figured out a long time ago it's a total waste of time. Much better ways to communicate. So I doubt your email is ever going to get answered. So then you've moved on and you think, well, I'm going to look at Facebook. Facebook's great. A lot of fun on Facebook. You can certainly meet a lot of people. I think it's great. I think to help with social isolation, Facebook is excellent. But you know something? If you talk to young people and say, hey, how come you're not on Facebook? They'll say Facebook is for old people. And that the young people left Facebook about 20 years ago. We're just way too late. So what do we need to do to get part of this little thumb thing and get into the regular communication that young people are doing? And today I want to address that. All right, so what's the trick? How do we better communicate? Well, it's obvious. If they're sending up smoke signals, you have to know how to read smoke signals. If they're sending a message by carrier pigeon, you got to buy some pigeons. So there are three things that you need to know in order to better communicate. The first is you need the hardware. You need to figure out what the equipment is you're going to need to do. The second thing you need to do is speak the same language. If you're talking on the phone, you're not speaking the same language as someone is that's doing that thumb thing on the phones. Different language. You got to know the lingo. So the thing that you have to remember is you have to be able to adapt. The world is changing rapidly, and what is current today may not be what we're going to use in a couple of years. So you have to be able to adapt to new technology. So those are the three things you need to do. And if you can do those things, you'll have better communication skills. And let me give you an example. As you know, with smartphones, there are two types of smartphones. There's Apple. We call it, it runs an operating system called iOS. And then we have all the other phones, which we call Android. So we have Apple and we have Android phones. The first clue that you want to do is find out what your family uses. And this is so important because in my case, I have two daughters. One daughter lives in Adelaide, Australia. They have only ever heard of iPhones, iPads, and Apple computers. I have another daughter who was in Beijing. You met her a couple of weeks ago on the show. She now is in Addis, Ethiopia. And she's only ever heard of iPhones, iPads. Exactly. It's all Apple. Now, how am I going to communicate with them if I'm not using an Apple device? So the first thing you want to do is to figure out if you want to talk to your family, are they all on one page? Now, in my situation, many years ago, we bought an iPad and we keep it on the kitchen table. It's always available when the kids call. They use a thing called FaceTime. Now, FaceTime is only for Apple devices. I guess Apple doesn't want to let that out because then, people would be able to communicate cross-platform. So FaceTime is a huge communication tool that the Apple community uses to talk. So if your family all uses FaceTime, you better get an Apple device to communicate. And that is what we did. We also have a device called a portal TV, which clips onto our TV in the kitchen. I've done a whole video about that, and that's a great feature. You might want to watch that video. I'll put the link above there. So now again, it depends on what country and where your family is. Just remember, in the United States, 57% of all cell phones sold are iPhones. So there is almost 60% of the new phones sold in the United States now are iPhones. So there is a very good chance that your family will be using an iOS device. And again, it's very easy to communicate with FaceTime. Yes, there is a lot of software out there that is cross-platform. We have Zoom, we have Meet, we have Duo. There are lots and lots of cross-platform software that allow you to communicate. Bottom line is your family isn't going to use that. Bottom line is if they're Apple people, they're all going to be using FaceTime. So look at what is available within your family, and you'll find choosing the right hardware platform will be beneficial and allow you to better communicate. All right, now we've chosen our hardware. We've decided what we're going to get. What are we going to use for the software? How do we get into this little thumb thing and continuously talking and get into that communication channel? All right, you got to use the right software, and that is WhatsApp. Today we're going to talk about what is WhatsApp. I think if you've never heard of it before, you'll be very surprised at what I'm going to talk about and the popularity of this app. In part 2, I'll be going over how to set WhatsApp up and giving you a detailed analysis on how to use it. But I wanted just to give you an overview now and an experience I had. As you know, my daughter and family were with me for 2 months, and I really missed them when they left last week and headed to Ethiopia. It's a long way to go. Anyway, I got up on Monday morning and was thinking about them, and I always made my daughter a espresso coffee when she got up in the morning. And I was sitting there having my espresso coffee, thinking about her, and I thought I would just snap a picture and send her a message in WhatsApp. So you can see on the screen, you'll see, just got up and making an espresso. Hope you are connecting with the local coffee culture. I sent that in WhatsApp, and within 5 seconds, I got a reply. I got the image that you see down in the bottom. Now, my daughter's a very busy professional, and I'm sure was in meetings all day, and she was able to monitor WhatsApp and pop that picture below. Now, later she phoned on FaceTime, and we had a little chat, and the lady below was there as part of the coffee culture in the morning. She was making espresso coffee for everybody. She's a local, and they have Ethiopian coffee, which is very good. But she was able to communicate quickly with me and sent me a picture instantaneously. She didn't have time to write a long note. She didn't have time to respond to an email. Now, as you see on the screen, you'll see up at the top left, you'll see that we have Brown Family Chat. And so we have it set up now that all our family are in that group, and whenever a chat goes out, it goes to that group and everyone can see it. So it's a good way of communicating within the family. But what I wanted to show you is how I'm now in the loop. The little thumb thing and all the things, I'm in that loop and I get instantaneous results. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. It's exciting and really works well. So let's look at WhatsApp and how it works. All right, let's have a look at WhatsApp, the app. Now I'm going to be doing a detailed instruction of the app in part 2. Today I want to give you a brief overview on the history of WhatsApp and how it came to be. But first I want to talk generally about the incredible interest in social media over the past 10 years. If you look at the number of social media users in this slide, you'll see that in 2023, we have about 4.19 billion users of social media worldwide. Now, since most of our audience is in the United States, let's look at 2008 compared to 2023. You'll see that in 2008, about 10% of our population used social media, compared to almost 3/4 of the entire population in the United States is using social media. That's around 246 million people in 2023. In this slide, this shows you the massive growth since its inception in 2009 to current values of almost 2 billion users. Now, I wanted you to take particular note of this slide. Unfortunately, I could only find it for 2019, and the slide is not that easy to see, but it does show you the top social messengers around the world. I want you to draw your attention to the green. The green is the dominant social messaging platform in that country, and as you will see, green is the majority of the world. That is WhatsApp. In the United States specifically, you'll see that it's blue. Blue is Facebook Messenger. So you'll still see that that is the predominant social media messaging platform in the United States, but worldwide, WhatsApp is dominant. So here are the 2023 statistics of WhatsApp. It's the 8th most downloaded app on the Google Play Store. They process about 1 billion messages a day, and it is used in 180 different countries with 60 different languages. 69% of internet users use WhatsApp except for China, and 70% of WhatsApp users check the app at least once a day. Now, there's a bit of a split between Android and iOS. About 73% of WhatsApp users use the app on Android, and about 22% on iOS. WhatsApp is also called WhatsApp Messenger, and it's free. It's cross-platform and provides a centralized instant messaging and voice over internet protocol service which is owned by, of course, Facebook or Meta platforms. This allows users to send text, voice messages, video messages, voice and video calls, and share images and documents. So why is WhatsApp so popular? Well, it's been in the market a long time. It also truly has an international pool of users. And the users are simply phone numbers, not a name or an email address. We'll talk about the security and the app in part 2, so stay tuned and don't miss next week.